Hi, I'm Jen with Making the Photo. Midjourney AI just released a tool that will make seamless patterns. These patterns are perfect for backgrounds and textures. Let's look at how to create these patterns in Midjourney and how to apply them in Photoshop. We'll start by creating seamless textures in Midjourney. Then we'll move to Photoshop where you can add these to your pattern collection and apply them as backgrounds. Finally, I'll show you how I use patterns in my photography as textured overlays to create depth to the final product. I have a few tutorials that cover patterns in Photoshop on expert photography. I'll put links in the description below. Let's start by making a texture in Midjourney AI. Recently, Midjourney released a command that makes repeated patterns. Enter your prompt as usual in the message bar. At the end, type --tile. The default square aspect ratio works best for tiles, so don't add an aspect ratio. Initial tests indicate that this command works well with test and the test P commands, but I'm going to try it with and without the test commands. From the grids, choose the version that you want to upscale. I'm looking at the edges to see which will join up and make the most interesting patterns. The test P images came out looking much different and much more graphic. So we'll try both in our pattern, but it looks like the test P images will work best. I'm also going to make a variation of my favorite rendering. On your midjourney.com homepage, download the images by clicking on the three dots and choosing Save Image. Technically, you can make a pattern from any image, but the success of a pattern is how well it repeats. You can check this quickly with an online tool, Seamless Texture Checker. I'll put the link in the description below. I used the same prompt for both of these images. The one on the right, I added the tile command. If the edges of the image don't line up, you get a clunky tile effect. A good texture might end up looking kind of abstract. Let's test our steampunk cat tiles in the Seamless Texture Checker. Some came out better than others. The test P images did work out the best. They gave a more graphic look. Now that we have some patterns, let's move them into Photoshop and put them to work. It's super easy, almost embarrassingly easy. Open the texture pattern in Photoshop and select the whole canvas using Command or Alt-A. Go to the Edit drop-down menu and select Define Pattern. Now name your pattern. That's it, your pattern shows up in your pattern window. Now go to a new canvas. Here's one I've been playing with, so I already have a balloon pattern applied. To apply my new tiger pattern, simply select the pattern from the pattern window and click the canvas. The pattern seamlessly repeats across the whole canvas. Let me show you a different way to apply your pattern to a new canvas that has a few more options. Start by creating a new document. Go to the Layer drop-down menu, select New Fill Layer and Pattern. In the dialog box, name your layer and click OK. Now choose your pattern. It will apply it to the canvas as soon as you click it. In the Pattern Fill dialog box, you have some options. You can change the angle or the slant of your pattern. You can also scale your pattern to make it larger or smaller. You can change the scale when applying the pattern to the canvas, but you can also scale the pattern to be larger or smaller. You should be able to scale the layer by going to the Layer drop-down menu and selecting Layer Style. There's a scale effects at the bottom, but this command is grayed out on my Photoshop. There's an easy workaround. It's so easy that I haven't bothered to figure out why this tool isn't working for me. Go to the Image drop-down menu and select Image Size. Change from pixels to percentage and make the image 50% smaller. Then define your pattern. Let's do it again and scale down another 50%. Image size, percentage, 50%, and define your pattern. Now when you go to your pattern window, you will have multiple sizes of this particular pattern: 100%, 50%, and 25%. Scaling your pattern is particularly important if you want to apply the pattern selectively to different parts of your canvas. Let's do that now with the Stamp Pattern tool. The Stamp Pattern tool lets you paint with patterns. To demonstrate, I made this coloring book car in Midjourney. I'm going to quickly use patterns to color in the shapes. When you select the Stamp Pattern tool, the option bar opens across the top of your workspace. Find the Texture option. You can scroll through your defined textures and choose one that you like. Smaller patterns work better, but I'll use both bigger and smaller patterns to show you the difference. If your pattern is too large, then scale it first and then paint. I'll use the texture that we just scaled for the background. I'm using the quick selection tool to keep myself coloring within the lines. I'm going to use this large cat pattern for the car. The cats are so large that you can't really tell that the pattern is made of cats. You can get much more precise than I am doing in this quick video. You can add fine textures, even skin textures to your image. As a photographer, one of my favorite uses of textures is to create overlays for my image. This gives the photo depth. Let me show you 2 ways I do this in Photoshop. I've added a link to a detailed tutorial in the description below. Start by opening a photo. In this case, I replaced the sky first in Photoshop. Then go to a layer and add a new patterned fill layer. Right now the pattern obscures the photo, so start by lowering the opacity. I want to feel the texture more than I can see it. Now I change the blend mode. There's no right opacity and there's no right blend mode. Just play around until you feel the balance is right. Popular blend modes are lighten, overlay, and soft light, but click through each blend mode to see how your image changes. Some blend modes let your main image show through more than others. Others might even change the color of your photo. I often add more than one texture to an image. Another way to add a texture is to open a file, select all, copy, and paste this texture onto your photo. You may need to resize your image to fit the canvas. Use the transform tool and pull out the corners. Now lower the opacity and change the blend mode. Here's the final version. You can use textures as backgrounds or overlays, or you can paint textures onto your image. You can create textures in Midjourney, but there are many ways to get textures. Share your favorite places to source textures in the comments below. If this video was helpful, remember to like and subscribe to the channel. This is Janet making the photo. Let's make something amazing together.